Good morning, good afternoon, good night, and welcome back to the Amateur Otaku podcast. I'm Brandon Alvarado, the Scalar fan. I'm here with my good friend Isaac Wolf. What is up, man?
Insert Jack Black quote here. I don't know.
Uh, wow. I mean, he was great as Bowser, but we'll talk about that another day. Guys, welcome back to the Amateur Otaku podcast. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe, click on the like button, and click on the bell for notifications. We are very excited. We'll see you next time, Patrick. Thank you for joining us during the My Hero Place. We just covered My Hero. Now we're ready to go to the next part of the show where we have a very particular topic that we want to talk real quick. And we have a great friend of the show, of the pod, that has decided to join us tonight. And we want to welcome her. Jaimie, what is up?
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm super happy to be here and excited to get to some of these topics.
Well, I'm going to say yes to Mike. I think it did. Awesome, awesome. Jaimie, I'm really excited for you to join us tonight. We heard that you're a big fan of Spy Family, and we're going to be talking a lot about that a little bit later. Now, guys, I have a particular topic, and I noticed it. Isaac sent me something earlier this week. I'm a big fan of Gundam, and I build Gundams sometimes in my spare time. And he sent me the trailer or the opening for Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch of Mercury, which is the new series that's coming out, which looks amazing with looks like a very interesting female lead, and the animation looks great. Now, as animation continues to evolve, one of the things that I found very interesting is how much is changing or how much in the different directions animation is going, specifically for anime. And I was wondering, do you guys have a preference when it comes to the type of anime that you watch? Do you prefer a certain type of animation? Because there's like three big types of animation that we're seeing now more than anything. And it's like we see a lot of drawn animation with very deliberate CGI additions and stuff like that. We also see animation with very light CGI effects to like enhance color and stuff like that. And then we see animation that is straight up CGI from start to finish. Jaimie, I wanted to start with you. I don't know how much anime you watch. Hopefully, a lot. If not a lot, at least you've seen enough to see different kinds of animation styles and stuff like that. Do you have a preference? What are your thoughts with the different styles that continue to come out of animation?
Yeah, I definitely do watch a lot of anime. I feel like the river runneth dry until like fall anime season, and now I'm like drowning in it, so it's great. But I definitely prefer like the classic 2D style, and then if I can't have that, then I'm fine with having some like CGI enhancements. I think like going full CG, it can work, and I've seen it work. Like I watched the Dragon Ball superhero movie, or Dragon Ball superheroes movie, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that what they were able to do with the
Love the movie,
CGI.
but the name isn't that
Yeah,
good.
yeah, the name is I could have thought about that one a little bit more. But I think that I really liked what they did with it, even though it's like, if they could have done the whole movie in 2D, there wouldn't have been any complaints from me. But what I did like is that they were very intentional, like the shots that they used and the way that they like shaded the characters to make it almost feel as if it was imitating 2D. And in like certain frames, I felt like it was very like almost almost felt like there was like
It
a
did,
2D
Leo.
scene that was
Sorry,
playing out.
Jamie, but it did. It just the name wasn't the best. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, I definitely agree. I like the movie. The name just needed a little bit of work. But to that regard, I do feel um like CGI, just like completely CGI anime kind of got a bad rep because when it was first being done, I don't think that like, it was an experiment. Like they didn't really know what they were doing at that time versus 2D. Like we've had 2D animation for like years and years now. So they pretty much like figured out that game, and even still like adding more things to it, but they have a solid foundation.
Yeah.
With CGI or like fully CGI or like 3D anime, they haven't like quite figured out what they want to do, and it always seems like they're leaning towards making it CG, but then trying to fool people into thinking it's 2D. Um,
Yeah.
and I
Which
feel like,
which
oh,
at that point might as well play a video game, right?
right. I'm like, I feel like the studios that have really had success with this have just fully admitted to themselves, like, hey, we're working with a 3D project. Therefore, we're going to do things that we couldn't do as easily in 2D, or things that would take way too long in 2D, and really take advantage of that. I feel like that is a type of 3D anime that I've seen that has been successful and
Hmm.
hasn't been trying to give me the best of two worlds and giving me none of it. I would rather them, if you have to work with 3D, whether it's like a budgetary restraint or you just don't want to put the artist through like some type of stress for whatever the project is, I think you can make 3D work, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
What animes would you say that you've seen that it works in the CGI portion of it, for example? If you can think of
Uh,
one on top of your head. I mean, you mentioned DB Dragon Ball Superhero.
yeah. I feel like a lot of the Netflix anime I've seen have been
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they lean towards the 3D. Like I know Tekken Bloodline, that was a like a CGI
And that actually looks
anime.
pretty good. That
Yeah,
looks pretty
yeah.
good. And I wonder, but then I don't know. Maybe that one works because the roots of it is CGI characters.
Hmm.
Like the root of it is that game, so it has that blocky feel or sense, right, of hyper realistic threading, right?
Right, yeah.
So so what about ooh? See, he dropped Leo
Oh,
dropping
yeah.
bombs here.
Yeah.
Yes, Beastars is definitely a great example of that. Very, 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 very good example. Um, a lot of people hate the movies, but I think that one of the earlier projects that was in the right direction, though not perfect, were the Berserk movies. I think the
Mhm.
Berserk
Fuck
movies,
no.
first of all, I'm not saying they're great, but in the year that it came out, it was a step in the right direction in terms of
No.
attempting to do a
No.
CGI adaptation. I'm not saying
No.
it's good, Isaac. I'm talking about the animation as attempting to do CGI.
No. No.
Okay. Are you judging the animation or are you judging the story?
The animation.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Since you're so aggressive, what are your thoughts in this debate or in this topic? What are your thoughts?
When it comes to CGI, I think my preference is when it supplement to. Sorry, Mike, but when it comes to Berserk, I just feel like that series deserves so much better, and the animation in in the 3D in the CGI versions are just downright horrible. That Berserk deserves a total reboot, uh, so to speak, with good 2D animation, with supplemented CGI when needed.
Gotcha. And it's funny because so it's interesting because I'm kind of like right down the middle, right? Because personally, what I love about anime is that it has this ability of capturing a mangaka's signature, right? Because no mangaka draws the same. Some of
Mhm.
the best anime, yes, feels different, right? Or feels very similar. Especially shonen animes tend to have very different character, very particular same character models.
Mhm.
But then you have certain authors that, for example, one of the best examples and one of the most popular examples, Isayama's drawing style is very particular for Attack on Titan. The way he draws eyes, the way he draws faces, the way he draws hair, the way he draws hands. Like a lot of those things are very particular that anybody that sees it that has read the book knows that's Isayama, right? And what I find interesting is that when you go full CGI, right, you kind of lose the ability to transfer that signature from the book, Does that make sense? Because the tools that you would use to create that figure in a CGI model are not the same that you would use when you're trying to do a digital art. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that's why I kind of fall in the middle, because at the same time, it's some CGI like what you mentioned with DBC Superheroes, not DBZ, DBS. So damn it, the superhero movie from Dragon Ball. I've seen the character models, and at first it's striking because I'm a Dragon Ball Z guy. Like I really haven't seen Super. I really haven't. I saw a little bit of GT. So when I see superhero, it's kind of shocking and jarring, but I still recognize the characters. Like they made it important for them to they made sure that it felt like Dragon Ball. Does that make sense? That you can see Toriyama's signature. Like the eyes is a big Akira thing. Akira Toriyama, the eyes is a big thing. The ears is a big thing for him as well. The type of hair is a big thing in the way he draws, right? That a lot of other characters and other mangakas don't have those same things as him. So the idea of using 100% CGI, I think it's good if done right, like you mentioned, Jaimie, with, for example, the Dragon Ball movie, but it kind of runs the risk of losing that artistry, which is what makes animation so beautiful. You know what I mean? But at the same time, for me, good one, Leo. You caught me on the spot. Damn it! But for me, I'm gonna go with Cell Saga.
Ooh, yes.
Because I love Gohan. Gohan is my top G. Like Gohan is my guy. And the entirety of the training arc and the hyperbolic time chamber, his whole story is, because at the end of the day, nobody can deny whether Dragon Ball Z is Gohan's story. They just stopped telling it in reality, right? Because the first arc is all about Goku protecting Gohan. After Goku dies with defeating Raditz, it's all about Gohan being trained by Piccolo. So DBZ is really Gohan's story. They just stopped telling it after he grows up for some reason. Probably because it probably was like a Wally West, Barry Allen thing. People just wanted Goku back.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
would say the exact same thing. Gohan is also my favorite character, so Cell Saga is my favorite as well.
Masenko. But yeah, so that's my call, Leo. Thank you. Oh, see, we all unite in greatness, Leo. That's the way it works. That's it. So yeah, that's how I feel. But the thing that I love the most about animation, which I love about anime also, which is why I mentioned the Berserk movies, Isaac, is that
Sorry, but Berserk is one of the how should I put it? One of the most important mangas that hasn't gotten its true due in animation. Even though the original is far superior, it's still, how should I put it? Yeah, in short, it's the one manga that deserves so much better, especially with how much the creator has inspired stuff. I mean, if, for example, the design of Cloud's sword, that's Gus. The Elden Ring has a ton of Berserker inspiration.
Oh yeah,
and
I can see that.
You name it. I mean, there is. I can talk. We can talk. I can talk Berserker for hours, if not more. So that's a fun. It's a series that deserves more love than just some CG movies. That's.
Well, the way I see it, I enjoyed them because they were my introduction to Berserk, introduction to that world. Now,
read the manga.
I get it, Isaac. But what I'm trying to say is that they're easy to digest. The art is interesting, but more importantly, I found that world interesting because they do portray the world proper, for me. But that's a different story. But what I'm trying to say, and the reason I mentioned that movie, is because to me, what makes anime so special is that it's super different. It's so versatile. Like you never see a show that looks the same. You never see a episode or abilities that look the same. Some series are deliberate ripoffs, yes, but there's more variety than there is lack of variety. Does that make sense? And that also goes for animation. So I hope that like the reason I wanted to bring this topic over was also because what I wouldn't want is for CGI to be the future of anime. That's my fear. Because for example, they're not only pushing more CGI throughout generations or whatever, but one of the biggest symbols in anime is getting a complete CGI movie after being retired for a long time, which is Trigun. They're bringing it back. They're remaking it in CGI, which I think is a very bold move. It looks amazing, but it's a bold move. And I kind of don't want that to be the future, like to be the only thing that we see, because I think we'll lose more than we gain. But I like that we have it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't feel like they'll
Agreed.
ever just completely like 100% drop 2D animation, because there's just so much. Like I feel like even the artists that are creating the 2D animation, even though a lot of them work some hellish hours, like they still are super happy with like the product that comes out of it. And I don't know if
Yep.
you'll be able to get the same thing out of 3D. Like you can come close to it. At least I don't feel like in this point in time, like we'll see in the future, but
Yeah.
even then it's like, when like the art renaissance first happened, people were using like oil and paint and all this other stuff, and now we've moved to digital, but like people still use those mediums, so somebody will still use it, even if it's like no longer mainstream. There's a lot of like indie projects that happen all the time that easily usurp things just because people get tired of doing the same thing, or even in video games, like playing the same thing all the time.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And I love how you mentioned that a lot of these artists love the product that they're putting out there. But also, I love how they're finding ways to make 2D animation feel new.
Right.
And most of the work that Cloverworks, Kinema Citrus, Bones, and Mappa specifically, I would say, the way they handle light and atmosphere in their series is very brilliant. Like one of the things that you couldn't do before is you couldn't do a 360 shot in a 2D animated anime before.
Right.
But they've used the tools of CGI to make that happen within a CGI world, within a 2D animated world, which is brilliant, which is one of the most brilliant things. And they actually just did that on Spy Family on this episode that we're going to discuss in a little bit. Segue. But yeah, I agree. I agree. It's actually pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. It's a great conversation. I mean, it's interesting how the anime landscape is constantly evolving. But I also like how throughout the years they still find ways to translate those touches from the mangaka to the animated spectrum. And I hope that doesn't change, because a book like Chainsaw Man, right? Which I don't know if you've read Chainsaw Man, Jaimie.
I've read a little bit of it. I'm getting there.
So, but Tatsuki's art is very particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very particular, very gory, but also very realistic, very humanistic. Also, his approach to the characters, and I love how when you look at the trailer for Chainsaw Man, everything that you read on the page is there, and that's kind of what I love. That you get the anime is always an extension of what you read as opposed to something completely different.
Right.
Which is what I find interesting with the whole Trigon thing. But then again, Trigon already had an amazing anime, and it's just getting a new take on it, which kind of justifies them doing it differently. But I don't know, guys. Animation is awesome. We love it.
Yeah. It's great.
Any more on this, guys? Isaac?
Well, first off, I want to apologize for my rant about the
Don't
Berserker
apologize.
thing. because that's I just feel that that's a show that deserves more.
If you could have a studio do Berserk, which one?
I know it's generic, but I say Mappa.
Yeah, I would say Mappa or what's the Mappa or IG
Mm.
or Production IG. And I only say that because whether you love the movie or not, Isaac, for the time that End of Evangelion came out and the little bits that I've seen of the new Evangelion movies, it looks pretty cool.
You mean your a studio who made your favorite movie of all time, Neon Genesis Evangelion?
You're a horrible person, Isaac.
I know.
Now, for some reason, we're putting ideas on Mike's head. Just because they brought Goku back, maybe we can bring Naruto back and Boruto. I don't know, guys. You guys hate Boruto way too much. But then again, it's fine because we all love Naruto. But they've done a lot of cool stuff with Naruto in the Boruto series. So, should we be complaining? I mean, should we? I mean, if anything, we should complain that they killed Kurama. Spoilers, but you know.
Oh.
You can find the podcast at Amateur Otaku Pod. Guys, have it awesome. Stay awesome. Keep watching anime. See you next week. Peace.
See ya.
Peace.